Hello. A local library has declared itself a book sanctuary. We'll talk to the director about what that means for its books and patrons. And how can Black Americans gauge their power and leverage? We're talking to an author who's coming to Pittsburgh to talk about the Black Power Scorecard. Plus, advocating for mental health on the ice. Ryan Malone and the Malone Family Foundation are doing just that. Bugsy joins us to share details on their upcoming event. So pull up a chair and meet us at the corner. Intersection starts right now. Hello, I'm Lisa Smith, the Director of Community Impact at KDKA+, and the host of Intersections. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Mount Lebanon Public Library intends to publicly declare the library a book sanctuary. And with that, the Mount Lebanon Public Library believes it became the first and so far only book sanctuary public library in the Commonwealth. Library trustees publicly announced their position recently during the National Library Week. Robin Vitek is the library director, and she joins us to tell us more. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So first of all, kind of explain what a book sanctuary is.
Sure. So a book sanctuary is a place of refuge and protection for ideas. It's really any place or organization that publicly takes a proactive stand against censorship. It started in Chicago with Chicago Public Library and the city of Chicago declaring themselves book sanctuaries in 2022. And since then, it's spread across North America with not only public libraries, but other organizations as well. Anyone can declare themselves a book sanctuary, or their library at home, Little Free Library, their school. We believe we're the first in Pennsylvania that is a public library to do so.
Yeah. So why did the board really want to take this step?
We've been looking into it for probably nearly a year. Over the past few years, the number of coordinated efforts to ban books and to censor libraries and library collections in schools and public libraries across the country has just risen exponentially. Mm-hmm. So by taking part in this initiative, we feel like we're making a public stand against that, as I said before, proactively rather than reacting to censorship issues.
Yeah. So I grabbed a little bit from that resolution, and it says that the Mount Lebanon Public Library will pledge to collect and protect endangered books that meet the standards of the library's collection development policy, to host book talks and events about banned and challenged books, and to educate its patrons on the history of book banning and burning, both in the United States and worldwide. Are there specific books maybe that are considered endangered that you guys think that you want to put in, into the library, or make sure it stays in the library?
I think the thing to remember is that with this book sanctuary resolution, that nothing at the library is really going to change. We have been working for several years on making our collection more diverse, to offer more of a worldwide perspective rather than just the perspective of our country, or American and British authors, for example, which make up the meat of our classics collection, for example. We've made an extra effort to showcase classics from all over the world, to make sure that our nonfiction collection doesn't show just one sort of perspective, but perspective of many different angles. So. As you are probably aware, LGBTQ books in particular have been challenged exponentially over the past few years. They make up something like 46% of all challenged books. And oftentimes those challenging these books have not read the books. They're not really aware of them, other than that they've been put on a list of books that should be banned because of their content. And that's not how we make selections at our library. We have a policy where we review the book based on many different factors and determine whether it's right for our collection.
Yeah. Part of this also is about having the library as a place that is really open to everyone. Why is that important?
Libraries are for everyone is a mantra, open to all. That's something you all often hear from public libraries. Really, what a library stands for, and this is why I really came on board with this book sanctuary movement, is because the book sanctuary movement drills down to the basics, bedrock of what a library is. And a public library is really almost the physical embodiment of our First Amendment. Our free speech, our intellectual freedom, the ability to think about or study whatever we want, that's a right of all Americans. And all library services are based on two documents that are derived from our First Amendment. So those documents say libraries are for everyone. Libraries should challenge censorship, and that everyone should have the ability to choose and access the information that's important to them, and that they should be protected. Their privacy should be protected as they do so.
Yeah. What's been the reaction so far?
So far, it has been exceptionally positive. Friends, board members, staff, patrons, I've gotten emails, great comments online. Everyone's really excited for us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in and sharing this. And of course, people can go on to your website to learn more. What's your website?
Yes, www.mountlebanonlibrary.org, and they can see the Book Sanctuary logo right there on the front page and click on that to learn more.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Robin. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Well, coming up, the author of a new book on how Black Americans score on the power scale is here. Intersections. We'll be right back. What determines your power? Is it money, education, business ownership, health, or all of the above? A new book set to release on April 15th takes a deep dive into how all of those social determinants and others are connected to power for Black Americans. It's called Black Power Scorecard, Measuring the Racial Gap and What We Can Do to Close It. Dr. Andre Peary is the author, and he is a Pittsburgh native and a senior fellow and director of the Center for Community Uplift at the Brookings Institution. He is also a board member at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about why you wanted to write this book.
Well, during the summer of unrest, the summer of 2020, sparked by the killing of George Floyd, there was a slogan that everyone became very familiar with, Black Lives Matter, and some reacted to it positively, some reacted to it negatively. But for a researcher, I responded by examining, looking for a research question. And in that phrase, for me, it translated to what are the most significant factors on life expectancy. If I could get at those factors, then we could actually get at a policy agenda focused on what keeps or helps us thrive, as opposed to working on things that harm us. So for me, it just provided an opportunity to measure power in years of life and to really be specific about what are the most significant factors on life expectancy.
So it sounds like measuring power in years of life is not typically how we measure power. And it sounds like those were some of the points that you were making in your book. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. Oftentimes we talk about closing gaps. And in this book, I don't necessarily talk about deficits. In fact, I compare Black people to Black people in different parts of the country. Because oftentimes when you compare Black people to white people, you often it leads to a conversation about disparities. I really wanted to look at strength, where Black people are living the longest. And we certainly have places where Black people are performing much higher than the expectation. We used a machine learning algorithm to look at multiple factors. We landed on 13 of the most important factors, and we looked for those areas that exhibited the highest performance on things like income, home ownership, social networks, children living with both parents and the like. And we came up with a list of cities, but more importantly, every city has strength, even those that perform lower in terms of overall life expectancy. But the whole goal is to base policy on our strengths, not our deficits.
So what were some of the cities or areas that kind of rose to the top in your research, and what was it about those cities that helped them to have better, basically, quality of life and life expectancy?
Yeah, when people read Black Power Scorecard, they'll see that there are dozens of cities where places, Montgomery County, Maryland, for instance, black people live well into their 80s. You have parts of New York, Putnam, New York, well into their 80s. And then you have places where folks are living below the national average of 74. Now, what drives higher life expectancy? Some things won't surprise folks. Higher incomes, property ownership, education, things like that drive or are correlated, I should say, with higher life expectancies. We also looked at some things that are negatively correlated. We know that places where there's higher church membership, you also see lower wealth, lower property ownership, and the like. And in that regard, people who attend church are going into church suffering to a certain extent. So we got to involve church communities in our efforts to increase wealth and prosperity. And in addition, family certainly matters. So there's a conversation about marriage, and that might sound a little controversial, but we know that healthy communities produce healthy relationships. Oftentimes, we talk about marriage as a solvent for poverty. Actually, home ownership, business ownership, education, if those things are high, guess what? Your relationships are solid. Social networks also matter. So there are a lot of factors I go through in the book, about 13, and there are things that you can actually improve upon. I spend a lot of time talking about business ownership, on property ownership, and because those are things that you can actually control and improve upon quickly. So having higher life expectancy is not something by chance. It's something you can improve through policy.
Yeah, and I saw that picture of you and John Legend. Can you quickly tell us a little bit about what that's about?
Yeah, John Legend and Brookings, or his organization Human Level, formed a partnership that I helped, or I'm a significant part of, where we go from city to city looking at places that have high levels of well-being. You know, we often talk about closing the wealth gap, but that's not necessarily going to happen anytime soon. But what we can do is expect that everyone has an opportunity to thrive, that people have enough resources where they can pass on something to their children, that they have good schools, opportunities to own a home. And so what we're doing is actually walking the block in cities all across the country. Never know, we might show up in Pittsburgh. And what we're doing is examining the doers, the people who are actually making life better for residents. And when I come to Pittsburgh and on April 28th at the August Wilson Cultural Center, we'll be talking with doers of Pittsburgh, people who are making a difference, people who are overlooked. And I must add this. There are lots of reports in Pittsburgh that say it's the worst place for women or the worst place for professionals. I will go against those reports to say, no, Pittsburgh is not the worst place. And in my opinion, that's not the strategy to go about change. You have to examine strength. And when it comes to business development, social networks, and other aspects of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh ranks pretty high. And so for me, it's about not just about framing, it's about, let's really build upon the strengths in every city so that we can fill gaps in other areas.
Well, Dr. Perry, this is such an interesting conversation. I wish we had more time, but hopefully people will be able to come out and see you when you're back here in town at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center. Thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. Coming up, Ryan Malone is a beloved former Pittsburgh Penguin. Now he's bringing the love back with an event focused on mental health. Intersections, we'll be right back. Well, the name Ryan Malone, or Bugsy, is well known around Pittsburgh. The former Pittsburgh Penguin is known for his efforts on the ice and off through the Malone Family Foundation, which he founded. And for the third year in a row, the Malone Family Foundation will host Black and Gold Breaking the Mold in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month in May and MTV's upcoming Mental Health Action Day. Ryan joins us now to tell us more about this year's event. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about why this is so important for you and why you started the Malone Family Foundation.
Well, it started out at actually in Moon Township. They had a deck hockey rink out there, and someone asked me if I could use that deck hockey rink for something. And the first thing I thought of was the Pittsburgh Warriors there in Pittsburgh, where they bring in honorably discharged veterans to be part of their hockey team and community, even if they've never played hockey before. It's really about bringing people on to that team and having that, accountability. So you're not as, isolated when you're transitioning or pivoting in life. For myself, our family's fortunate enough to have been around the game a very long time. With myself growing up there in Pittsburgh, obviously. It's all our family kind of knows, which I always joke around is good and bad. But to use the platform now to really see the healing power of what each other do. There's Keith roughing up my dad there. But really just being open and honest with us, where we're at as individuals. We're all struggling with something. So to participate in MTV and the Veteran Paramount Network Mental Health Action Day, our action is the game of hockey, and we tie that in with a nice little, little hot stove the night before to open up different opportunities for people just to hear some different situations people have been through, some hard times, how they got through it, kind of share our experiences so everyone understands, we're all human at the end of the day, and let's try to lift each other up. And I think that, group environment, that locker room environment is really powerful. So really honored and humbled to just be a small part of it, but really showcase that hockey community and really what that hockey spirit can do for individuals and communities.
Yeah. What is it specifically about hockey that you think helps with that? There's a sign up that said hockey is healing. Is there something about hockey? Is it the camaraderie? Is it the team? What is it that you think helps people?
Yeah, at first people probably wouldn't say it's healing, especially after a long career in the NHL. Your body is a little banged up, but it is that camaraderie at the end of the day. And that's with any sport or any little niche, if it's art or book club, whatever it is, having those people around you and keeping you accountable, being able to check in on you. I think a lot of sometimes when you're isolated, your brain can get the best of you sometimes, but when you're in that kind of team setting, especially if people have walked in your shoes or boots before, they can kind of relate a little easier and help each other out. And at the end of the day, I believe we're all here to pick each other up.
Yeah. We mentioned this is going to be the third year for Black and Gold Breaking the Mold. Tell us a little bit about what you have planned this year. Is there anything going to be new this year?
Nothing too new. We're definitely trying to dial it up a few notches every year. We started at South Point the first year with a small little panel right before the game. Last year, we're at City Winery. We hosted 150 people the night before our Celebrity and Hero game. And this year, we have partnered up with Rivers Casino to host 500 people the night before our Celebrity Hero game at RMU on the 15th. So I think, I'm bringing in other hockey NHL alumni that have dealt with some different things and have different foundations as well in the mental health space, really just to highlight again what the hockey community can do when we all come together. So we're very excited about the support and partnerships we have formed so far in Pittsburgh. And I'm actually excited to say I was a little worried about the 50 tables and kind of getting that number, but we are already sold 42 of the 50 tables.
Wow.
So again, we're just so thankful and blessed to be in the city of Pittsburgh. And we say that we're breaking the mold is because, as you know, we're all wearing the same colors. And from the sports perspective, and then being able to have Brett Kiesel, Neil Walker be a part of it as well. It's kind of tying all the sports together. And then the city, as we know, we're all blue collar, hardworking people that when we do have a goal, we can come together and accomplish it. So just highlighting that amazing city of Pittsburgh and showcasing what we can do when we all come together.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate everything that you're doing, and we thank you for joining us today. But before you go, we do have a little surprise for you. We want you to take a look. I know you're watching your screen, and you probably see your dad there.
No,
and in a minute, you're going to see Richie Walsh. There they are. And there's a little check for you. So we are so happy to share with you that the Malone Family Foundation is one of the 2025 grant recipients for the Mental Health Action Day, courtesy of Showtime and MTV, which are part of the Paramount family. Congratulations, Ryan.
Oh, thank you so much. God bless you guys, and Jay and MTV. We've been just very fortunate. Like I keep saying, everyone's going through something. So if it's even getting outside for a walk, whatever it may be for your mental health, just being more conscious of how we all can help each other in these little ways goes a long way. So got me off guard there. It was just amazing, and just again very humbled and grateful we can be a small part of it and showcase what this city can do.
Oh, well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing, because it is so important and so needed, and we can't wait to see you back here in Pittsburgh.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'll have my last word when we come back. Words, they matter, whether spoken or written in a text, on social media, or in a book. Words offer knowledge, perspective, and even spur disagreements, but valuing words is foundational to our country. They're part of our First Amendment freedoms of speech and of the press. And those freedoms are definitely worth the paper they're written on. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Intersections.